Hey everybody, welcome in. I'm actually in the map doing a little bit of cleanup. We have a little bit of a mess going on. I'll explain in a minute. Welcome in everybody. I see you guys in the chat. Welcome in. Hey Keith, Coble, welcome in. Nuclear Salmon, welcome in. Travis, thanks for coming by. Welcome to the stream. We got a map update to deal with. And to stick with the challenge, I've actually been in discussions with the Cavailier Roy, trying to make sure I'm doing it justice. Again. Hey Farmer Murphy, welcome in. Thanks for dropping in. Thanks for being here, buddy. You're a little bit farther ahead than I am, so I'm trying to catch up. But I need a sound effect for that transition. Somebody send me a sound effect. Anyways, welcome in. My name's Josh. This is the Gaming Joy channel, and we're back on Glenleathann. And well, not much has changed, honestly. A few things have changed. Kind of just ran right past one of the changes, but what we've done is we finished off the month in March because there wasn't really much to do. We started today, kind of paused the time a little bit just so I can get going, and then I changed the map, and I updated the new version of the map. And so we're using the updated version of the map pretty much from the way that Cavailier Roy did it. The only thing that I changed for myself is the grass. I want to still use my own grass, but everything else, and when I say grass, I mean the crop grass. But everything else, oh, they're so bright in here. Oh, my glasses are gone. I don't know where they are. Not going to wear them tonight. The grass is my own, and that's my own little addition to it, right? It's just a look and feel thing. I'm not changing any of the functionality. What Cavailier Roy has changed is a whole bunch of stuff. So around the farm here, let's turn the music down a little bit. Around the farm here, so these tanks, like this liquid fertilizer tank before, it used to store just liquid fertilizer. And now it stores both liquid fertilizer and herbicide, which is pretty cool. Same with this one. This used to store just solid fertilizer, and now it stores solid fertilizer and lime. Hey Rob, hey Bruce, PA Plowboy, all of you guys, welcome in. Thanks so much for being here. We're going over to all the fun changes to the map. This is going to be one that's going to be very much annoying. The hedges are higher. Like, the hedges are annoying enough, and now they're more annoying. Because not only you can't even see over them, you also can't jump over them. They're too high to jump over anymore. And I used to jump over them all the time. And so now they're higher. And then over here, there wasn't hedges here before, and now there are, so you can't even see into the cow paddock without coming all the way around over here. And you can still see into the cow paddock, but again, you can't, there's no gate to get in, so we can't get in. I do have a finagly idea of maybe getting a very small vehicle to come in through this door right here, or maybe using the forklift to lift something over this fence. We'll see. We might do that, we might not. I don't know. It seems a little cheaty just to get to a bit of grass, but I mean, these cows eat a lot. Speaking of the cows eating a lot, we had produced a metric butt ton of food. And so we had produced like 700,000 liters of food. And now when we updated, Cavailier Roy basically updated all the numbers to 900,000. Like every number across the entire map is 900,000, almost all. And so now the barn accepts 900,000, so we have enough food. But before, the food was just this little teeny tiny pile in the middle, and now it looks like it's full. So now it actually looks more legit to what we need to have in there. So that's good. So we're good for food for a little while. And then these also changed. So these used to store billions or like 90 million liters each. And it's been dropped down to like 600,000 each. So if you look, these look pretty full. And that's because we actually had to take some out because we had too much. So we had like 1.4 million liters of straw, and now it only accepts 500,000. So we had to actually do the math, deduct, and so we have over here in our little pallet storage a bunch of 180 centimeter bales, equivalent of the amount of extra hay and straw that we had in our, not only in this bunker here for the robot, also over here for the sheep. Now the sheep are completely full. They take 300,000 liters of food now, whereas before they used to take a significant amount more. And I had like 700,000 liters of food in here, so I had to do the math, deduct, spawn some bales, put the bales into the bale storage, so we still have all of the stuff we generated, it's just a little bit less. And then the other big things are this silage clamp, which is now empty. But what's next to it? We have a Dusseldorf, I don't know, an MS3700 silage thingamabobber, and and this is for flattening silage, because we no longer, if I go over to here, where is it? It's over here. We no longer have a bale wrapper. Well, yeah, Cavailier Roy decided to change to square bales. So in the base game, the current, which is going to be released soon, version, he has a square baler. It's actually a New Holland square baler, but of course we're running a classy farm, so we have a Kloss square baler. And then over here, because you have a square baler, we now have a square baler trailer. Obviously, everything's been recolored and styled appropriately, but now we have a square bale pickup trailer, which actually picks up less. I'm bummed about that because the round bale trailer picked up 24 bales. This thing picks up like 12, which is half as much, which is a bummer. We got rid of our subsoiler, which I'm very sad about, and we got this plow. This is the Agrimoz POV 5XL. I've just recolored it. I'm sad about this, but if we can make it until August and we don't need to plow anything, then we'll just never use this thing, and we're going to sell it, and we're going to get the SP10M because that's just way better. And the other thing that changed, and the only other thing that changed, is this. Because there's no round baler, he wants people to use the silage clamp, so he actually put in a Torian 1914. Now, this is essentially this exact same thing, I just colored it black because that's how I roll. So it actually was a Torian 1914 in the new player mode, so we just have the same one here, but that means that we're going to be doing silage via this. But if you think about it, we're in April, which means if we cut grass, we won't cut grass until May, because the grass is not tall enough yet. Still one more growth stage. We won't cut grass until May, which means that by the time the silage actually ferments, it's going to be August. Which means we won't actually have to scoop out of here with a front end loader at all. We'll get some kind of bunker buster or something so we can actually do it a little bit more automated once we can buy equipment, but we will use the wheel loader for some of it just because that's what the author intended, so we do have to use it. We did sell some of our manure. We still have a little bit more, but not much. And then we're still waiting. We're actually getting up to the brim here. We have just over 1 million liters of slurry that we're going to have to do something with, but we don't have a slurry trailer, and we have 3 months left to get by without having a slurry trailer, to get rid of that slurry. We also have, you come over here, we also have milk, which we have 428,000 liters of milk. So we have to get the dairy, and we have to get the milk, and we have to get rid of that milk because there's a ton of milk and it's going to be full soon. So that's not a good thing. Distractions. Oh no, I clicked the wrong window. Oh no, hold on. Where is everyone? There we go. So that's what happened. The other big thing, and we can look at it on the production menu for the few productions that I own, like the biogas plant. The biogas plant now takes 600,000 liters or so of every product, which is a lot, way more than we thought from before. And it stores a lot more, which is way more than before, but it also takes straw, potatoes, and wood chips now. I can use it as fertilizer or just to sell. I can do either one, Keith, based on the rules of the challenge. Because he didn't provide anything. He didn't provide a slurry spreader or a manure spreader. He didn't provide either. So technically I can do whatever I want with it. But for the goals of the challenge, we'd have to sell it. We'd have to at least bring some of it to the biogas plant. So the rules, we've got a checklist now. The checklist is important because of all this extra stuff. So as you can see, there's some extra stuff. We have soybean oil that needs to be made. We have corn flour, soy flour, and canola flour, all of which are new recipes, right? They're about the same as the other recipes. Pretty much the same, no big deal. Nothing extra in the spinnery, nothing extra in the sugar mill. The grain mill has a bunch of extra recipes, and the big one is the bakery. The bakery has like 6 new recipes. Let's bring up my little checklist. So here's the checklist. So here's our checklist for the author intended goals. We have to do all of this. This is our whole checklist. And as we go through here, I will manually update this. It doesn't update live or anything. It's just a static sort of an image. But these are all of the things that I have to accomplish. I have to get to 2,000 cows, 2,000 sheep, 16 horses. I have to do all of those recipes for each one of those areas. All the BGA recipes, sawmill, carpentry, planks, grain mill, oil mill, spinnery, cereal factory, sugar mill, bakery, and look at the dairy in the bakery. The dairy has yogurt and soy milk as extra recipes. The bakery has bread, cake, waffles, pancakes, donuts, pizza, dough, cookies, and brioche. The weird thing is a lot of those also take dough as a recipe. So that dough recipe, we're going to be making a lot of dough, and the dough recipe requires a lot of flour, so we're making a lot of flour. It's going to be crazy. And now the downside is that when we did a vote on YouTube, and if you guys saw that vote, you'll understand. And while I'm talking, I'm just going to go ahead and do this. So this tractor is a lease for a contract, because we're going to go do some fertilizing contracts, and I accidentally clicked on the borrow equipment button. I normally would just use our stuff, but since I clicked on that, I'm going to go ahead and use this one. It doesn't matter which one I use, but we're going to fill it up here. Kind of need a weight, don't we? There's a weight. I'm surprised the contract didn't give me a weight. So anyways, with the productions, the new update, and you can see it here a little bit in the production menu. By the way, I should turn off autosave because that's annoying. In the production menu, you can kind of see it here. See any of these? Not really. You can see it here. See how it says 12,000 liters? Before 12,000 liters was like 30%. Now 12,000 liters is like a dot. It's no different than the 0 dot. So all of these have 900K inputs and 900K outputs. And since 900K is just not an option, I put it up for a vote on the community tab, and I hope, whoa, let's get rid of the checklist. Show that again. So here we have the sunflower oil here, right here on the right, and the canola oil is 0, sunflower oil is 12, we've already made 12,000. It's just, it doesn't even show, it doesn't even register, because these are all 900,000 liters each, input and output, which is just insane. There's no way possible we could do all of those things on the checklist at a 900,000K limit. And so we could either do the limit for the number of pallets, but we're gonna call an audible, because I think Cavailier just wants the productions just never to stop. He doesn't want there to ever be any limit to the productions, so you can just dump stuff into them, do as much stuff as you want, and you never run into problems. And I get it, and I think that's a good idea. For our challenge, we're going to set the limits to be 30K for every recipe across the board. So we have to produce 30K of each thing. And that's going to be our goal. And then at the BGA, we're going to say it's 90K of each input. Now, obviously, we can put more than that in. So once we get to 90K of each input, we can call it done and say that we put in enough into the BGA. Now, I'm flexible in the BGA stuff. If you want to say we still want to do like 300K instead of 30K for the BGA, that's fine, because most of those items we generate a ton of, like silage or what else? Silage or straw or hay or wood chips. Like, we can generate a lot of those really quickly once we get that stuff going. So I don't think that those numbers are going to be a problem. It's all of those recipes and being able to take them all, because as one of those recipes is cakes, which means we need to produce enough materials to make 30,000 liters of cakes, which has its own special recipe now, and includes stuff like strawberries, which is from a greenhouse, which you don't even have greenhouses. So getting there is going to be super tough. And because there's nothing else to do in April on our own farm, we're going to go and do some contracts, because even though we do have some money, we do want to expand a little bit and get some more fields, because we're going to need more fields to make all of the products that we need to make. This tractor's kind of slow. But, deep breath. Okay, that's pretty much all the updates. That's the updates to the map. The map looks really awesome. One of the other things that was that doesn't affect this challenge, but makes the map look awesome, is it has new lighting. You can see that it's kind of a softer light going on here, and it's not as harsh. The colors of the grass and the trees and stuff like that are a little bit more muted. He has his own custom lighting in the map now, which is awesome. I can't wait for everyone to see it when this version of the map gets released. And there's also new crops. Not new crops, but new textures for multiple of the crops. Such as canola. It looks completely different, which is awesome. I'm really excited to see those. I've seen one of the Tony was playing on that map with his series, and he has the same version I do, and so he was able to see some of those new crop textures, and they just look phenomenal. So I can't wait to get there. But you know what? We're in April. A lot of those crops need an entire year to grow, so we won't see them anytime soon. We getting everything? Cool. So now we're just gonna do some field work, get some contracts done. We haven't done any fertilizing contracts in this series yet, or we haven't done very many. I figure why not? And we'll use different machinery for today, just because contracts. So how's everyone doing? There is 2 other people playing this challenge. Farmer Murphy's playing it. Welcome in, Farmer Murphy. It's not. Yeah, August does rule. You must have already made it to August, right, buddy? I'm sure you did. Farmer Murphy's playing this challenge also, and he's been releasing video series on it. The one thing that he was doing that I wish I'd started when I started, but I didn't because I didn't think of it, is that little... He's got like an ongoing spreadsheet of how much money he's making on contracts and stuff like that. I wish I'd thought of that because that would have been perfect, honestly, especially for this, because there's so much data you have to keep track of. And if you guys are curious on how I'm doing with my part of the challenge, the checklist, essentially the same thing he's got going, the only thing I'm keeping a count on is the items produced. So today, once we're done with the stream, I'm going to update all of the recipes that we have produced, so everything in the places that I own. I'm going to update all the recipes and make sure that we're getting credit, I guess, if you want to call it that, for the stuff that we've done. And we've tracked all of the stuff we've gotten so far. And then we'll move forward. But yeah, Farmer Murphy's got that checklist going, and it's the spreadsheet, I should say. And it's really cool to see, like, because this challenge does take a lot of kind of contract work to get things done, just because it's so... There's just so much to do. And so it does take a lot of time doing contracts. And I'm doing most of those contracts off stream just because, you know, they're kind of boring. But they still have to be done so that we're getting credit. So here we go. We got one more contract done. And I think it's soon I'm going to be at a point with the contracts where I'm going to get... Let's do this. Yeah, that's fine. Where I can be able to borrow machinery from everyone on this map. So I'm using the Better Contracts mod, which is this right here. Some of the contract settings. And one of the requirements I have is that I have to do at least 2 contracts for an NPC farmer before I can borrow their equipment. Farmer Murphy's doing it where he can borrow equipment from anybody, but he can only use that same equipment for the same farmer, which also makes sense. I'm doing it where the mod is limiting me whether or not I can borrow the equipment. So I literally can't borrow it if I haven't done contracts with that person. And I actually ran into that error or that limitation at the end of last season where I wanted to do a sugar beet contract with a certain bit of sugar beet equipment, and I couldn't because hadn't done enough contracts for that person. So I ended up using that equipment that you guys saw, which was not fun. It took forever. Phone's at 1%. You gotta charge that phone there, Nuke. Can't spend all your day just surfing the no battery sign. It's gonna shut itself off for you in a minute. Bye, Nuke. But that's the story, and that's where we are. I'm very sorry for not being out available last week. Got some family issues going on. My wife wasn't feeling well, but we're back. And one more month towards finishing this contract. And if we actually finish these fertilizing contracts, we might just jump through April a little bit more because there's nothing else to do until May. Hey Rusty, welcome into the stream. Welcome in, sir. We're having fun on Glenleathann. This is the new version of the map. And even though I complained about it, I do actually like the taller hedges. They're a little bit more unique, and I think they feel like I feel like they separate things a little bit more, if that makes any sense. Which I think is a good thing. Ooh, 5Gen Farms, welcome in. Hey buddy, thanks for being here. Thanks for hanging out in the stream. We're having fun on Glenleathann. What does our story look like? What's our contracts look like? We had a whole bunch of fertilizing contracts open, but I don't remember which one I opened. So, and this is all the contracts that are available. So once this is done, we're moving on. Because just like Farmer Murphy, I want to get to August. Mainly because we're going to have a poop situation. Welcome in, everybody. Thanks for being here. Sorry, one quick second. Delivered. Well, we're totally missing our lines, but it's okay. It's only like half a section. I think we're already done with the field. But I'll be nice and finish the field. A good farmer. And Yahtzee. Where else are we going? Let's get our map. A whole list of contracts to do. Those two up there. Anything more up here? Oh, we got 13 and 14 nearby. I can probably do 13 and 14 before needing to fill up. Is there a road near 13 and 14? Right there, 14. And if we make it to some grass work tonight, which I don't know if we will, we'd have to jump all the way until May to do that. Or even... Yeah, I don't know if we're going to get to grass work tonight, but when we do, I have a surprise for everybody. I have an upcoming mod that I'm working on that a few people have been testing for me. Which is called Variable Pickup. So it's the Variable Pickup Width mod, which does pretty much what it says. It makes your pickup width variable. So you can change how wide your pickup is using items that pick things up, such as forage wagons and balers and forage harvester pickup headers. And it makes it a little bit more fun. Gives you a little bit of a maybe an Unreal boost if you want to play that way. I don't have to say one way or the other whether that's the right way to play or not, but it's up to you. If you do choose to do that, you can. But the primary goal is just to give a little bit extra width. We all know that sometimes playing with the base game balers, sometimes it's just that little bit, right? It's just that little extra bit because you get a really big windrow and suddenly you can't pick it all up in one pass. You have to go 2 passes. And that's just stupid annoying. We're upping the time speed here. And that's just annoying, and like, why? Like, why did the game limit you from doing that? I don't get it. So I made it so you can kind of adjust it on the fly. Because I can never let things lie that are just not right. I have to fix it. And so I fixed it. So I'm working on that. It's going to be crossplay, actually, because I know Rusty would love to have some of that stuff too. Rusty and who else in here is console? Cobalt, also console. Farmer Murphy's console. Rabbit Rob plays on console sometimes. So does Bruce. So lots of you who are on console are gonna really enjoy this pickup mod. If and only if, obviously, Giants accepts it, and it passes testing, which right now is taking forever. Giants testing is taking so long right now. I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. Lots of vacations, I guess. Now, is there a hole through these hedges here? No, I have to go all the way around. It's annoying. Look at me being nice and finishing up the field. And I'm hoping to also do a not crossplay, a PC version of that mod, which is gonna just scripting like update every pickup header in the game to work the way I want it to. If I can get it to work. I haven't tested that part yet. I've also been working with Poor Boy, testing out his new test for Mason County and helping him out a little bit with fixing some stuff. And so that's actually also in testing right now, or it was in testing, and he's going to be resubmitting it as soon as the new update comes out, just to make sure the new crops work with his new map. And that should be fun. That's a really awesome map. It's honestly one of Poor Boy's best maps to date. I think it's his best map. He's very humble and doesn't think so, but I think it is. This tractor is definitely a little bit underpowered for this map. I mean, these are some strong hills, and it's struggling a little bit. Yes, Farmer Murphy, the pickup mod will be submitted, let's put it this way. It will be submitted to Giants as a cross-platform mod. Whether or not they accept it and release it to platform is obviously up to them. I have no say over that. But it is being built as a cross-platform mod. It does not use any scripting. Now, I could do a total version of it that does have scripting. Because you can't use scripting, this is kind of how a lot of these mods work, and why you see a lot of crossplay mods that are just like tons of copies of things, is with a script, you could make a modification to a vehicle to do something that it normally doesn't do, without making a duplicate. You just add something to that vehicle, like adding GPS. You don't have a copy of every single tractor in the game with one that has GPS and one that doesn't. You just add it to every vehicle, and that's done via scripts. For a crossplay mod, you actually have to have a copy of everything that you want to change in the mod. And to do that, you have to... Giants doesn't like to allow mods like that sometimes because they feel it kind of pollutes their system with lots of copies. Like, that's, for example, the reason that Keith is having a hard time getting his Dutes 9 into the system, because Giants is claiming that it's, it doesn't bring anything new to the game, and they don't want more copies of the same tractor because they've already got other copies of that same tractor. Whatever. So you have to, what they usually come back and say, and that they've said to me before, and they've probably said to Keith as well, is that you need to bring something new to the game, or new to that tractor, for them to accept it as a modhub item. So I've submitted other mods that didn't really change very much, they just changed some little things, and they didn't accept it because it wasn't different enough to, or unique enough, or provide something new for the player. So then it would just be another copy of something. So if you took a tractor and just recolored it and submitted to modhub, and it was like a base game tractor, they wouldn't allow it because they're just like, yeah, that doesn't give you anything. That doesn't give you anything new. So my goal in making that crossplay is I have to make sure that there's enough in there that isn't in the base game tractors or anyone else's tractors or implements or whatever to make it unique. And exactly, Keith. Even though, like, what Keith is doing, there's nothing like it in the game, and what Keith has done to the Dutes 9 is essentially the same thing that Poor Boy did to the John Deere 4755, right? It's the same thing. Like, he's added all these kinds of extra configurations and options and all kinds of cool stuff. And he keeps adding more and more to it. But the general principle is the same. Is Giants has a first come, first serve policy. I don't think it's a real policy, but it feels that way. So I'm going to call it a policy because that's the way it seems to me. Where the first person to think of something and bring it to modhub is the first person that gets in. And if someone else does something similar, but not the same, they don't get in because Giants only wants the first. Which I think is crap. Right. It is what it is. They also have this other policy where they don't want like multiples of the same thing that are very similar. They want you to put things into packs, which I didn't know, and they told me not very nicely that that's what they want now. And so I've had to adjust some of the other mods that I've made to meet that pack rule. So like the fieldwork fill station, I have 2 versions of the fieldwork fill station. And I tried to submit them as separate mods, and Giants wants them as one mod, but as a pack, which, whatever. I get it, but I don't get it at the same time, you know? Like, I get it, but... yeah. Oh no, we're out of fertilizer. Well, that's a Bonta Voodoo. How much does this thing take? We're gonna have to drive all the way across the map. Kobol's comment here is, I've thought of the same thing. I've thought the same thing, but I don't know if it's that. I think over time, it's not exactly that. So Kobol's comment is that it sounds like they don't want new modders in the game. And while I think that sort of sounds like it's true, I don't think it's the case. I think that what the problem is that they're holding newer modders to a higher standard than the people who got there first. Right? So, which is like, I don't know, it's not right. They don't have a documented standard, but they make up new rules, and the newer modders have to abide by those new rules, but the old modders don't have to abide by those rules. And so, and then they don't even hold themselves to the same rules, which I just, to me, really grates me. If you look at ModHub, there's got to be at least 100 mods of tractors and vehicles and implements and stuff like that that are on ModHub that fail their own testing. So when every time you release a new mod, every time they release a new version of the game, they update their mod testing tool to work with the new stuff. But then, a lot of those mods, they don't even pass their own testing rules. But then they give us, as newer modders, or modders who are creating new things after that fact, make us adhere to higher standards, which is like the definition of favoritism. Right? It's like the definition of bias. Like, I don't agree with that. I don't agree that they should be holding new modders to a higher standard than the old modders. I think 2 things. Number 1, they should have established guidelines of what qualifies a new mod, so that you know what you're trying to get to. And then number 2, they should adhere all of their mods continuously to that higher standard. Like, I think that if you took every single Giants mod that's on ModHub and tried to run it through their testing tool, I know guaranteed every single one of them will fail. I know for a fact, because all of them have the wrong mod desk. Number 1, but number 2, they also fail for dozens of other reasons. And just like Keith said, I've spent a good amount of time fixing Giants' mods for people at someone's request. Hey, can you fix this for me? I really want it to work, but it doesn't work right. And they refuse to fix their own stuff. And I think that's It's like a eating your own food thing, right? You're not willing to, if you make new rules for people and adhere your stuff to your own rules, but your own stuff can't follow that same rules, then what good are the rules? Right? So and exactly, Richard's saying, welcome in, Richard. I just saw you come in. It's honestly, that is probably one of the main reasons in that weird policy and the weird favoritism and the weird, giving priority to certain modders and all of that kind of crap that Giants does, is why there's not very many mods on ModHub. And of course, there's like 4,000 mods on ModHub. I'm not saying there's not a lot, but if you look at King mods, there's like 40,000 mods, whereas ModHub only has 4,000. And the reason for that is because no one wants to put up with ModHub. Put up with the ModHub and Giants' weird testing rules that change every day. Right? So I just don't agree with that, in all honesty. And I've told other people this before, but, if they want to hire me, and I'll fix their modding policies, but it's going to cost them. No, I don't know if that's the way they treat modders, I don't know if I would necessarily want to work for them in-house, right? Because how are they going to treat their employees if they can't even treat their own stuff with proper treatment? You know what I mean? Yeah, they have a second testing tool internally that's different than the testing tool we have. So they release a vanilla testing tool to us, and then they have a much more detailed testing tool to themselves. But then their testing tool doesn't actually catch things that are broken. And that's the weird thing, is the testing tools, even their own internal one, doesn't catch weird things. Like things that should be game breaking. Like the freaking Rambler van. I had a discussion about that in Bruce's stream today. Like the Rambler, Rumbler, whatever that's called, that white van. It's a game-breaking van. And it's just listed in the ModHub as a van, but it's not. It's not just a van. It also rewrites and overwrites every single pallet in the game. Every pallet in the game. It rewrites every pallet with their own special customized fancy pallet. But it doesn't say anything about it. You don't know that it's happening, and then when you try it on a map that has custom pallets and everything breaks, you have no idea that the van is what's causing it because it's not listed anymore. Why isn't stuff like that caught in testing? I don't get it. But at the same time, yeah, the one that holds 1 billion liters, yeah, it's game breaking. I've looked in the code. It rewrites every pallet in the game. Well, every base game pallet. With their own copy of the base game pallet that adds the 82 Studios magic forks, where you just kind of go up to the pallet with a front end loader or a telehandler or a skid steer, and it just automatically connects without actual forks on your device. It has that on every pallet. They don't tell anybody that. It's not on the documentation at all, but it's in the code. Why is that allowed? Where sorry, I go on forever, but I mean, it's just I think that there's a weird they want this game survives, and I think personally thrives off of the modding community, yet I don't believe that they respect the modding community. There's a level of respect and understanding that the modding community is driving this game that I think is missing internally. And I think that's a problem. If you can't have clear documentation on what your stuff does, then how can you enforce any rules at all? Like, their own internal stuff is not shared by their own choice. Yet they expect people, like, they expect people to actually be able to fix errors that are based on internal encoded stuff. And they just, like, poor boy had an issue with his map. And they bumped it back to him and gave him an error log. And that error log referred to stuff in the data S directory, which is like the internal game directory, which is all encoded. You can't get to it. And the only way to fix what was broken would be if you actually knew what was in that directory and what the error, the line, what caused that error. And without actually knowing it, it took hours upon hours to brute force fix the error. All because they expect people to know what's in the private files, but they don't actually release them. How is that, like, how is that a policy? How is that even smart in any way? It's not. I don't know, it's like, every software company, you release a software thing and you expect other people to write software for it, the first thing you do is write documentation. If you don't have something documented, you can't expect people to know what's not documented. You can't expect people to magically figure it out if you're not giving them the tools to figure it out. And when you try to combat an error report like that with them, the first thing they say is, well, you have to figure it out. They refuse to actually do anything for it or tell you what's wrong or tell you how to fix it. They're just like, no, we gave you the error message, that's all we're giving you. Figure it out. Just sad, honestly. So Mac Truckers thing blew up a few servers. Yeah, he fixed all that stuff. Actually, I talked with Mac Trucker last week. Or earlier this week, I think Monday. He has all of the bugs fixed in it, and it's working now. And he has it submitted for Giants, but they have like a 14-day testing thing right now, so it's going to be a little while. But he did fix both the fact that it was missing on the right side, and the fact that when you use it as a forage wagon, it wouldn't let you fill it again past the first time without resetting it. And he said all that stuff is fixed and it's in Giants for testing. And I only know that because I talked to him. Because I saw one of those errors and I tried to reach out to him to help him fix it. Because I'm nice like that. Yeah, I mean, I write, so most people know this, but if you're new here and you don't know this, I'm a software developer. I'm a UI architect. I write websites essentially for a living. That's what I do. And I'm not just writing websites like HTML. I'm, hardcore JavaScript stuff. Yeah, exactly, Koble. Migraine inducing. I do JavaScript level websites and I build SaaS platforms. The big stuff that you see out there. And so this is what I do. This is what I do for a living. I'm not like I'm talking from like out of my butt as a modder who has no idea about anything about software development. No, I live and breathe software development. That's what I do for a living. I know what makes a company fail because I've seen many companies fail for not doing this kind of stuff. So it's just like, yeah, it's like they test certain things, but the list of what they test is unknown. Like, if you submit a vehicle, you should be expecting them to test a predefined, expected list of things. You should know exactly what they're testing, what they're doing to testing, what tools they're using to test. All of that. You should know. That should be documented. It's not. You just submit it and it's like a black hole. Hopefully Giants passes it. And then there's, you know, no communication. It just goes from one testing level to another testing level, and it's in testing for 10 days, and then they respond and say, oh, your thumbnail has the wrong format. Please resubmit. Really? I had them throw a mod pack once because the thumbnail was not generated properly, and so instead of helping me, they generated it and put a screenshot of mine next to theirs and said, with a big X over mine and a green check mark over theirs where they had actually done the work to generate it, and they said, please fix. Like, you already fixed it. Why aren't you just use the one you generated? I don't care. Go for it. Like, what the hell? Why are you doing that? Oh, sure, Rusty. I can talk about that. So I've been in software development for a number of years now. I've worked everything from small companies to big companies. I worked for a while at Akamai Technologies, who does field service. I'm sorry, they do hosting, fault-tolerant hosting for many websites, big name websites. I used to work both in their deployment, installing servers, as well as in their NOC, which is their Network Operations Command Center monitoring servers. I've worked for social media websites that were building huge, massive forums for millions of people. I've worked for, most recently, I worked for a clothing company that had an online shopping site that had, you know, 1 million orders a year. I worked for a couple field service software companies that were developing different kinds of field service software, which is, field service is basically like, oh, something breaks, you need to create a ticket, someone has to go fix the thing that broke, and so that ticket has all the information they need, like that ticketing software. I've built that software from scratch as part of a team, obviously. Trying to think of the other companies I worked for over the years. Lots of it is just back-end software that you can't see. So, like, I could tell you the companies that I worked for, but you wouldn't be able to see any of the code that I wrote because most of the stuff that I spend time doing is all back-end that you can't even see. But I build the tools that make those websites run. So if anyone's ever used something like, I don't know, like WordPress, I've built clones or competitors for WordPress in my day. I've built applications that are 10 times more complex than WordPress. Stuff like that. Yeah, but again, Keith, like saying that like Giants won't fix certain things in the mod desk, but then they will do some stuff, that I have a problem with. Right? Because for some people, they'll just fix stuff. And for the rest of us, it gets bumped from testing, you have an error, please fix it, and then resubmit. For some people, they just fix it. Why is there favoritism? Yeah, thanks for Murphy. Yeah. The biggest one, I didn't work there, but I have interviewed there twice, which was YouTube. I actually interviewed for YouTube, and I also interviewed at Dropbox. And those are probably big websites that a lot of the people who are content creators here know all about. And I've interviewed at those companies, but never worked there. I also interviewed at Facebook 3 times. But most of those big companies, YouTube, Google, Dropbox, Facebook's Box, was the other one that denied me. There's one other one that denied me for the same reason. Voodoo. I almost worked for Voodoo. All of them denied me because I don't have a degree. That was the one consistent thing with all of those interviews, and the reason that I don't work there is because they required, or 48, is that it? Is 48 the only one left to do? I'm almost done, guys, with my fertilizing bonanza. Yeah, 48.94. Nice. All depends on who you are, yeah. All of those companies denied me because I don't have an actual degree. And all of them also said in the interview process that it didn't matter that I didn't have a degree. But then they didn't hire me because I didn't have a degree. So they went back and went against what they said earlier, and yeah, they're jerks. Whatever. No. Funny thing with YouTube, I think I told this story last time, but when I interviewed at YouTube, I is part of the interview process, we got talking about content creation and features that I thought YouTube should have had. And I brought up the community tab. They didn't have a community tab back then, but I said that they need a community-based feature for sharing information and asking questions to your community and having different types of content than just posts or just videos. And then 6 months later, they released the community tab. Which was exactly what I told them to do in my interview. So I can't necessarily take credit for it, but it's curious. Let's put it that way. Oh, thanks, Rusty. Yeah, well, I mean, I did go to school for almost 4 years. I just didn't complete it because when I went to school, which was 25 years ago. Yeah, 25 years ago. The internet was still in its infancy, and I wanted to be a web developer. And my college didn't even know what a web developer was, or what they should be learning in school to do that job. They just didn't understand it. And so they weren't ready for what I needed to get from them, if that makes any sense. Well, here we're pretty good. We're almost got two more contracts to finish up, and it's just fertilizing, and we have enough fertilizer to finish it. And then we can jump through to May. Now this map has a custom crop calendar, which we can look at really quick, and hopefully I won't run into the forest. Nope, that one. So I do have a custom crop calendar, and I want to plant corn, sunflowers, and soybeans, but I can't plant them until May, which is weird. Normally you plant all of those in April, but this map can't plant until May, so I have to wait till May to plant the 2 or 3 fields that I still have that have not been planted yet. I actually haven't driven on this road yet. We're gonna try a different route. I'm not from Southie. I'm wicked smart, dude. Dude, kid. I'm wicked smart, kid. I'm hella smart. Yeah, exactly, Rusty. Shoot, I have to get to which field here? I think I didn't plan my route. I need 48, so I need to get to this field. Yeah, I'm good. I was in the right place. Yeah, like when I was in high school, like the closest thing to computer work they had was like a word processing course. Right? Like word processing, like where they were teaching you on like old school Macintosh computers before they were even Macs. Like just basic word processing, how to type a paper and make it bold text with a headline. Like that's all it was. None of the stuff, like my daughter has way more advanced stuff than she did it in like 2nd grade. I didn't even have that stuff in high school. Like they learned how to use like PageMaker not PageMaker, but like they learned how to make presentations and stuff like that in like 2nd and 3rd grade. PC didn't exist. Yeah. So the one feature that's in precision farming that I think should be in the base game is the mini map. When you're fertilizing or liming, it doesn't do it for liming, but it should. This little mini map view that kind of updates as you're driving along, I think that should be in the base game. Let's put it this way: when I took computer stuff in high school, everything was on 5 1/4 floppies. That was the established. That was like the best they could do. So a 5 1/4 floppy. And I think I took my first typing classes on a Commodore 64. Actually, I took my first typing classes on a typewriter. Like an old, like, spinning ball. You know those, like, you know what I'm talking about? Spinning ball typewriter. That's how they taught typing. An IBM AT and an XT, yep. Remember those. I had an IBM PS2. I had a PS2 before there was a PS2. I had an IBM PS2. Or not an... Was it IBM? Yeah, it was an IBM PS2 computer for a while. It's a PS286. But they called it a PS2. I think it was called a PS2. Being stayed good for a while, yeah. The ones that built finger muscles, they had a few of those too. Everyone was always fighting to use the newer ones though. These days, the kids walk into 3rd grade and they get assigned a Chromebook. It's just how it is. Well, thank you everyone for being here. Looks like we got about 7 current viewers. And it looks like once this contract is done, we're going to be able to jump into... Is 48 the last one? I think it is. Wait. Let me look at the contracts. There was another one, wasn't there? 94 and 48. I drove past 94, didn't I? I knew I was going to do that. Okay, it's done. I'm not going to be nice for this one. Where's 94? There's too many fields in this map. 96, 98, 93, 92, 91, 90. Where's 94? Come on. 90, 91, 92, 93. There's 94. Sugar beets. It's hard to see. Nice. Loading DOS on a MacBook. These days that just feels weird. I have to get to there. There. Oops. We're in the Europe. Gotta go on the other side of the road. Remember that, Josh. Gotta be on the wrong side of the road tonight. Computer stuff's on an abacus. Whatever, for me. I think the road I want is right here. The only problem now is if we're going to have enough fertilizer to get through this field. It would really suck if we ran out of fertilizer like seconds before finishing. And because we're using our own weight, we're going to have to drive all the way home. All the way back to the farm. You know what's funny? This map, it feels really big because there's so many fields. And the fields aren't very big, you know, they're all like very good contract size fields. But it feels really big, but it's the same size as some other maps. Like I was playing on New Lands and, you know, cutting down trees and making some big fields and stuff like that. And so the fields are bigger, obviously, but it's for some reason this map feels bigger than New Lands. But on New Lands, I own the entire map. But it doesn't actually feel that big. It's kind of weird, right? Whereas this map, excuse me, I don't own the entire map. But for some reason, it feels bigger. I think it's just the number of fields. A lot of maps are like that, where you're surprised that it's a 2x map. It really feels like a 4x map. Yeah, thanks, Nuke. 8% left. I don't think I'm gonna be able to finish it. I'm gonna have to go get more fertilizer. That's what I get for using a base game fertilizer spreader. If it wasn't base game, I would have been able to finish it. Son of a pain in the butt. So close. Like a half a pass. Used to know Dawson, I can barely spell it. Yeah, some of that stuff that I learned but never used again. Like DOS scripting was one of the things, like bash scripting. Like I learned it for something, made something cool, and then never used it again, so I sort of forgot it. Totally ran that guy over. It's his fault for getting in front of me. I really do enjoy the new lighting on the map. I think it looks really great. I can't wait to see how the fields look. With the new crop textures. Q basic. Gosh. I learned, that was one of those classes I took in school. It's Q basic. Hey Doc, welcome in. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming in and hanging out and joining the stream. If you don't know, we're on Glenleathann doing the author intended challenge. Now I'm just going to get some more fertilizer, but here are the rules. The goal is to play the map the way the author intended us to play it. It's my own challenge, which is why I'm like pushing it, I guess. On this map, because of the new updates to the map, so this is actually an update for Glenleathann, which is going to be coming out very soon. It's probably more than we need. Doesn't mean we're going to have to drive back here again. What? This update to Glenleathann adds a bunch of stuff, and we are working with a whole new checklist of things we have to get done. I mean, look at all that stuff we have to get done. That's ridiculous. I'm going to make that title a little bit smaller. It's a little bit too big. But welcome in. Welcome in. Thanks for being here. We are doing a few contracts in April. We are doing 3-day months, so we're going to have to jump through a couple months to get through to May, because there's nothing else to do in April. I've already done it all. Yeah. One of the big things with this map, with this challenge, is it really depends on the map. There's a lot of maps that would be really, really hard to do this challenge on. And maybe that's what you like. You want that challenge. You want that... Yeah, you want the extra challenge of doing this challenge. Use that word too much. On a harder map, right? But, you know, or you can do it on an easy map. The key is finding a map that gives you almost all of the equipment that you need to do just about anything. That's the key. The size of the map doesn't really matter. It might be easier on a smaller map. It might not, who knows. It'll be easier on a map that doesn't have any custom productions. Or animal pens with 2,000 cows. Or 2,000 animals, I should say. Court? No, I don't think so. I think Court would be pretty fun. The main farm you start with in Court and New Farmer mode is pretty good. And if I remember correctly, it has not all, but a good amount of the starting equipment. And I believe it has a full set of mowers and balers and stuff. So you, in a lot of your first year, really all you can do is take care of your farm and do contracts. Because you can't buy any new equipment. That's one of the rules. And so as long as you have the equipment to do like the primary contract that's on that map, like Farmer Murphy, who I think is still in chat, he's doing it on Valley Springs. And Valley Springs is just like Court, where they're like over half the map is grass. And so you have all of those fields that are contract fields that you can do grass contracts on. And as long as you start and have all of the equipment to do grass contracts, then that map becomes quote unquote easier to do, because you can get through the first year by doing a bunch of contracts and make a bunch of money. Like what I've been doing here. There's not super many grass fields on this map. There's probably just over a dozen grass fields, maybe 20, I think. I haven't counted. We could count if you want. Actually, let's count. I want to know now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 grass fields that are not owned as your starting farm, and these ones right here are your starting farm. And just because it's Scotland, now it's raining. But the goal is to play the way the author intended you to play. So if using the equipment that they gave you, you have to use that equipment for your entire playthrough. So, as an example, the author of this map, which is Glenleathann by Cavailier Roy, who's part of the Shanty Boys. I'm also part of the Shanty Boys, which is the main reason I'm playing this map, because I wanted to support Cavailier Roy's map. He gives you a bale spike. And so if you didn't have a bale trailer, you would have to use that bale spike to pick up bales for the entirety of the challenge on your own farm. He also gives you an auto, like one of the auto pickup trailers, so I haven't used the bale spike at all, but, or like the front end loader. Like he has the new updated version of the starting equipment has a square baler and a front end loader and a pickup wagon, and the front end loader has a silage fork, which means that we're supposed to make silage in the silage clamp, not wrapping, because there is no wrapper. There's no bale wrapper. So you kind of, the idea is to play the way the map author intended you to play. If they give you, like on this map, there's a forklift at the store. So anything that gets delivered to the store, or if I bought anything at the store, I would have to pick it up with that forklift. I haven't really bought anything at the store yet, but if I did have to, then I would have to use that forklift to pick up whatever those items are. Things like that. And it also limits you, like on this map, I don't have a bale wrapper, so I can't wrap bales anymore because the new updated version of the map doesn't have a bale wrapper. So I now have to use the silage gun. Whereas before I was using a bale wrapper, which was fun, and now I can't. So. All right, let's collect on our contracts. Froze because I was in the vehicle still, which is great. Collect. Yay, and we're up to $377,000. We didn't use very much. We didn't make very much, but you know what? That's okay. Not a big deal. Let's sleep and get into May. It's only 7 o'clock. We still have another hour. Which is great. Yeah, starting equipment is very key. I would like to recommend Poor Boy's map, his new map, Mason County, which I am testing. But I don't want to recommend it for this challenge because he only starts you off with a tractor, a weight, a seeder, a trailer, and a harvester. That's it. No other equipment. And there's a ton of other stuff that you can do on that map that wouldn't be as fun or is not very fun because you don't have that equipment. Like, you don't have the equipment to use it. Like, you get it like stone quarry and stuff like that, and you know, you'd want a truck that can carry stones. Like, but, you know, he doesn't really give you that equipment to start off. So we're in April. There's no new contracts. So I'm trying to get new contracts. There's none. So let's go into April 3. I really use these 3-day seasons a lot when it comes to harvest time because there's so much to do, especially with all the contracts. But right now, there's like, especially over the winter time and early spring, it's kind of like a jump through time. But we're leaving it set on 3 days. That's what Cavailier Roy suggested, and we found out the reason for that earlier. Oh wait, I heard the animals. Let me check the animals, make sure they have food. Food, good. And we're into May. Yay. No more space for wool. Oops. Sorry. I wasted wool. That was my fault. I forgot that when I'm jumping time, I have to actually come in here and collect the wool. All right. Grass is actually not ready. It's at its forage stage. One more whole month for the forage stage. Share Discord favorites. See if we can get any new friends in here. Oh, thanks a lot, Rusty. I'm only 49 to go to 300? Wow. I didn't know that. Thank you very much for sharing. That's really awesome. Thank you very much. I'm not really focused on the numbers at all, so I wouldn't know. Why is this one fully grown, but this one's not? I could have sworn that I rolled all these. I thought I rolled everything, but maybe I didn't. And that's my fault. Anyways, don't care about the rolling. What can we plant? We can now plant corn, sunflowers, and soybeans. And we need, and sorghum. So we can plant everything. Let's see what we have for fields that can be planted. So we have 3 fields where we can plant. Thank you, Doc. I see that jumped in for your subscription. Hopefully we'll get an alert here if Stream Elements actually does their job. Never mind, it's not happening. We have 3 fields to plant. What do we plant? I don't know if I want to plant corn just yet, because there really isn't much I can do for corn other than silage. And to do corn with silage, we need a forage harvester, and that's expensive. I think we might do that next year. We do need soybeans for sure, because there are multiple production steps that require soybeans and also sunflowers. So let's do soybeans and sunflowers. Could also do sorghum, but is this fields? Is this? Oh, field 70 is already planted with sorghum, so we might start expanding across the road, because we can expand. So in this, one of the other things with this challenge is you can only expand abutting some of your own land. So I can only buy like this wrap of fields around here. I can buy 68. I can buy this plot of land, which is one of the things I'm saving my money for. But we don't need it yet, so right now we're going to go plant some soybeans, because a lot of the new production stuff needs soybeans. So let's get in our Big Daddy tractor. It's still dirty because we don't have a sprayer to clean stuff, and we can't get one for a while. So we're still going to do it. Oh yeah, thanks, Rusty. So yeah, I think I've done this a few times, and for anyone who's new to this thread, I'm also a modder. And I make mods for all platforms whenever I can. Sometimes I can't because of the way they're written, but I do make mods for all platforms. So I do have currently 2 mods, or I have 3 mods on ModHub. One of which is all platforms, and I believe 2 of them are not. The one that's all platforms, the Fieldwork Fill Station, which is the one that Rusty is talking about, that almost everyone likes. I've gotten a lot of downloads. I think I was getting close to 160,000 downloads last I checked, which is really awesome, and I'm very, very proud of that one. I still haven't made a single dollar on that mod to this day because Giants doesn't like me. And I would say that's a story for another day, but there is no other day. So yeah, they said that I can't make money on that mod because it uses an existing model, and I didn't make my own model. But that's okay. I already have a new model for it. I just have to update it. So we will be updating the Fieldwork Fill Station very shortly with a new model and some new features. And that'll be fun. The other ones that I made is another one that people on PC really love, which is the stacked spawn pallets stacked mod, which makes it so that and for some reason I'm not using it on this playthrough, I don't know why, but it makes it so that whenever you have a spawner for pallets, it'll always spawn those pallets stacked up. So instead of spawning like 6 pallets, it'll spawn like 20 pallets. So your spawn way more things. And then the last one that I made is the forage harvest straw pickup mod or something like that. Forage straw pickup mod, which allows you to pick up straw on like a wheat field or something like that using a forage harvester. Yeah. Pig food. What's the question, pig food? Oh, the fieldwork fill station? Hell yes. I submitted to Giants back in, I want to say April maybe, a husbandry fill station, which I'd been developing for a while, which looks just like the fieldwork fill station. It uses the same model, but a different color. And they denied it. Because, again, they don't like me. They denied it because it was using the same model, and it was so similar to the other mod that they didn't want it to be separate, because that would be polluting their precious modhub. So they asked me to bundle it and to make my own model, which is what I've been doing. So we will have I think 4 versions of the fill station. There will be a fieldwork fill station. There's going to be a husbandry fill station. There's going to be a liquid fill station, and I think that's it. And there's going to be an everything, a buy everything fill station. The same kind of concept as some of the other fill stations, but everything that can come out of a spout. And you can use whichever one you want, and it's going to be fully color selectable. There are, I believe, last I checked, 16 colors. Not the same normal base game colors, some of them, but a lot of them are colors that I have chosen for it to be fully color selectable, which is super fun. And that's going to be coming out as soon as I can get off my butt to finish the model. And I've been working with Ridiculous Dominic on that model. He actually built that model for me while he was out of commission and had a broken arm. So it's the broken arm model. Thanks, Dom. So yes, Tony, I'm sorry, Nuke, that will be coming out soon with pig food. The husbandry one has basically everything you need for any animal to fill any animal. It works great placing it at the animal dealer, so that your animal dealer becomes kind of like a hub for animals. So you can buy all of the food. You can buy pig food, horse food, chicken food, cow, TMR, water, mineral feed, hay, straw, manure, silage, all of those things you can buy if you just feel like you don't want to make that stuff. A lot of times, especially when you're starting off, like, you want to get chickens, but you don't have the food for them, and you don't want to buy the stuff from the thing. And of course, just like normal, it'll have both a free version and the paid version, so that if you really want to, spend, 15K or whatever to put down the free version, then you get free food for life, then you do. You can justify it however you want to yourself. But yeah, it'll be there. It'll be coming out soon. I've been testing it on my local saves, and the husbandry fill station I've been testing, and then the new version of the fieldwork fill station, which will have those other fill stations in it as well, will be coming out as soon as I can. I have 2 other mods that are also in progress. One is the variable pickup width mod that I was talking about earlier, and the other one is, I don't remember. And I have at least one other one that's also in progress, but I just need to, I've proven that it works, I just need to do the work to get it there. I haven't figured out what it's called, but I'm thinking of calling it the trickle spreader. Trickle spreader. Yeah, the 30% off makes it really great for buying in bulk. That's the whole reason I did that way, for sure. Nope. The trickle spreader is going to also be cross-platform, and it'll probably also have a PC-only version, but it basically will rewrite all of the base game spreaders to... it's going to rewrite all of the base game regular spreaders to do both fertilizer and lime. It's also going to set their usage rate for all of them to 10% instead of 100%. And I'm also going to rewrite all of the base game manure spreaders to also do lime. And again, set the usage rates down to like 10%. So... yeah. The small pickup to have more use bar options. Doc, if you're on PC, I could definitely knock one of those things out for you. Getting that onto modhub would not happen due to the way that Giants doesn't like multiple copies of things, and just adding horsepower to something is not something that they qualify as. Yes, similar to the spot spraying, yep. Or similar to, like for, if you guys, some people like to use 82 Studios' stuff. If you don't know, the 82 Studios 6-ton ground-driven spreader is set to a 5% usage rate, which means that when you put lime in it, it's going to use 5% of the normal amount of lime, but still do the same amount of coverage. That's one of the reasons why a lot of people like using it. From my mind, that's cool, and I like the idea, but I don't want to have to use his stuff. I want to use everything. Or I want to be able to use base game stuff, right? So I would prefer to be able to just use the machine I want to use and not his stuff. So I'm going to take the same idea and build upon it. Enhance it, so to say. Because that's what I do. But yeah, Doc, let me reach out to me over Discord. I can make that, give that pickup some fun stuff for you. Is there anything else we can do right now? We have 2 other fields. What are we going to plant in those other fields? Do we decide? Oh, sunflowers. Let's do this. Oh, nope, wrong one. I almost hired our worker the wrong way. So I've done the headlands. We're going to come over here. Do this. We're going to hire a regular worker, let him deal with this field. And we're going to go get our planter and plant some sunflowers in those other 2 fields. Sunflowers are going to be used for the oil mill, which we already understand and own. And because we know that we have to make 30,000 liters of sunflower oil, which is going to require quite a few sunflowers. That was strange. Did I just start that twice? Weird. Oh, there's my weight. Hey. We're not facing the right direction. We haven't actually used the planter yet. I was especially proud of this one when I, color-coded it. Because this thing was a beast to try to figure out how to be the right color. It was just problematic. You wouldn't believe. So, fill up with seeds. We're not going to make that corner. That's Giant's building, so I don't mind bashing into it and crashing and denting the side. It's their building. fertilizer, clothes, choose sunflowers, and I love these. I love these hedges. They're so great. Yay. Yeah, exactly. Making them go fast can be easy, but sometimes those other trucks, like the small trucks, even if you give them more horsepower and stuff like that, they're not necessarily better. So I'm not saying that I can make it better. I'm saying I can give it more horsepower. Maybe a couple extra towing hitches on the back so you can tow more things, but making it better, that's even harder. First I need to unfold the cedar. Really? Oh, fancy. I don't think I've ever used this cedar. It's my first time. Oh, nice. You know, that's not true. I use this cedar a lot on Cavailier on my very first game save, like for myself, like a private playthrough, that I didn't share it in stream or anything like that. I was learning the game. I believe I used this cedar, obviously in its original colors, on that playthrough. Yeah, I did a bunch of that, Keith. I tuned, I got into a YouTube thing looking at like UK stuff, and I somehow found the JCB story about Fast Track 1 and Fast Track 2, where they made like the racing versions of the Fast Track that had, you know, that set the world's fastest tractor records. And so the very first thing I did was edit the 8330 to have the same engine configurations as the competition vehicle that JCB made to beat that world record. And so they had a max speed of, you know, whatever the actual max speed was, which is like 230 miles an hour or something like that. But those things get really, really, what's the word, wiry at that speed. Like, they're just, you can't really handle them very much at that speed. And that's at only 230. And plus, like, most maps don't have enough straightaway to get going that fast. So, yeah, making things better takes time. It does. 100%. The torque scale data sheets? Yeah, Keith, I know. I do too. It's the first thing I looked up. Like, how'd they set the torque up? Squirrely, yeah. I don't know if that's a car term. That's a motorcycle term for sure. Like when you're riding off road and you lose traction, I always called it getting squirrely. Oh, that's a good thing for testing. $128K map. This map has some crappy land. And this main farm. I get some not so great land choices. Oh, there's more rain. Luckily we can see in the rain, no problem. How's the worker doing? Can we see over the hedges? Well, the worker's doing pretty good. My triple headlands, I'm sure, are helping him. It's a common term in India for all vehicles. Cool. I don't know. I don't know where I got it from. I got it from somewhere. You know, these days with the internet and seeing shows made in all over the place and different countries and stuff, like you never know where you hear something. Or how like a word gets into your lexicon. It's just how it happens. One field down. These are little teeny tiny fields. They won't produce very much sunflowers. I do have the enhanced straw mod on this playthrough, so I do get straw from sunflowers, which is actually a significant amount of straw. So sunflowers is a good thing to plant or do contracts on because you get a ton of straw. Oh, and that's the other mod that I have in progress, which is also a script mod. Sorry, Rusty. PC only, but an updated version of the, my own take on the collect straw at missions mod, which will allow you to not only collect straw at missions, but also collect rocks, pick up grass with forage wagons, use windrowers where you didn't used to be able to use windrowers and stuff like that. If you're using your own equipment, you can use lots of different equipment that you normally wouldn't be able to use, like using a forage pickup header for straw on a wheat contract. That's just not possible in the current game. I'm making it possible. Because why not? And that was another one that I submitted to Giants, and they said no, because mine wasn't different enough from the original. We might merge these two fields together, just to make one field, just because these two they're kind of together. The policy on merging fields with this challenge is, I'm not gonna say it's flexible, but if there's hedges on a field and you can't delete the hedges, then you can't merge fields, obviously. But if you're playing a map that has deletable hedges or removable fences, then the map maker, from my mind, the map maker intended you to remove them if they made them removable. Like, what's a good example? Comsden Farms has hedges in between some of the fields or has fences. They're not intended to be removed. The map author, Oxy, never wanted you to remove those fences. So removing fences on that map as part of this challenge, if you would have through whatever means you potentially have, I know there's new mods to be able to do some of that stuff. You're not supposed to do that because the map author never intended you to. But here, these hedges have little posts in them that if I cut them down with a chainsaw, it goes away. So the map author intended me to be able to remove these hedges, should I want to. I haven't decided yet whether I will, but as far as the challenge rules go, if they're meant to be removed, they can be removed. But if they're not meant to be removed, you can't hack the game or edit the map to remove them. That's my take on it. It's all about how the map author really wants you to play the map, right? That's the goal here. I think I think the reasoning behind it, and some people might not have heard this from me, but this is like my soapbox, right? So I personally, myself, as well as many other players, I see a lot of people going into a map, and the very first thing they do is delete the entire starting farm, or remove all of the starting equipment, and just buy whatever awesome equipment you want, and then play the map. And in many cases, I think you're missing out on what the map author really wanted you to do, because you never really look at that starting equipment. You're just buying the best of the best. So I think you missed like the challenge that they want you to do starting a new farmer. Some map authors actually take time to pick certain types of machinery or certain machinery for new farmer mode, and I think that we as players sometimes miss that. I don't think Giants picks very good starting machinery all the time. I don't think that default set of starting machinery, which is on, you know, Erlingrat and stuff like that, it's not very good, because it doesn't give you everything you need. Which is why it gets back to map decision and which map you choose to pick the map that has the right equipment. Like on this map, Cavailier Roy didn't pick all the right stuff, honestly. Like, he gave me horses, and those horses require water, but he didn't give me a water trailer. So I can't get horses until I can buy a water trailer. That may seem simple, but I also don't have a milk trailer, or a slurry tanker, or a manure trailer for manure spreading. Like, none of that stuff came with the starter equipment, so I can't do those actions until I buy that equipment. And so, as a new farmer, you end up spending some of your starting money to fill the holes in what the map author gave you. And that is what it is, right? The goal of this challenge is to actually stick to that as much as possible and see what it's like to play with just the starting equipment. Now, for this one, I did change the starting equipment, but I only changed it for brand. So I did equal or lesser horsepower, settings, everything. I changed all of the, like, this may look like a brand new tractor, but if you look at it, it has 37 hours on it. I haven't played 37 hours on this tractor in this game yet. It had a lot of hours on it. You look at some of the equipment, like this planter is the first time I'm using this planter. I've never used it before, but if you look at here, if I can do it before I get to the end of the row, this planter has 9 months on it, right? I haven't used it for 9 months. So there was some intention behind how this equipment was set up. Hold on. I think I've heard this song before. Give me a second. Yes. Click the button. Sorry. And that's the goal of the challenge, is just kind of go with the author's intentions and kind of play the map the way they wanted it to be played. I just wanted things to be black. That's me. Yeah, only if it's a JD farm. Yeah, you and Rob, totally. If it was a JD farm, you just replace everything with whatever your favorite tractor is. For me, I like to do my style, and every series I've done has been thematic, kind of brand thematic playthroughs, where I'm playing with one brand and I stick to that brand as much as possible throughout the playthrough. So in this one, it's Kloss. And I've been preparing for this Kloss playthrough for at least a year. And all of the work I did to restyle all of these machines to look Kloss colors, it took a lot of work. So I've been playing this one for a while. But just because I never used cloths, so I figured, hey, why not? I'll just do everything cloths. Sounds like a plan. Okay, where is the roller? I don't know if you have to roll sunflowers because it doesn't make sense because it's planted. But planter crops shouldn't need to be rolled, but I'd bet the game is going to tell me that I need to roll these. Let's check. I'd bet that it needs rolling. Yep, it needs rolling. Whatever. It is what it is, right? Out of water. Worker done? Worker's probably almost done. Oh, did you? That's pretty cool, Doc. I'm not a farmer at all. I have no idea about farming. Everything I know is I've learned from this game. But when I play a game, I go all in. So for every game that I've ever played or spent time playing, I go all in. I learn as much as I can about whatever that game is about. I know all the ins and outs of the game, all the techniques, all the special tricks and hidden stuff. That's just that's how I've played. I'm a kind of a game guide player. I used to buy those game guides, the magazine things at GameStop, just so I could get all the stuff, right? So I've learned a lot of stuff about farming from playing Farming Simulator that I never knew. I think I know more about certain aspects of the game, like grass work. Grass work's my favorite thing, so that's what I know the most about. But, you know, I don't actually know anything about farming. The closest I've ever been to farming is my sister runs a horse farm, sort of, and I got to drive the tractor on the farm once. That's about it. It's as close as I get. I help expand the community because I can call giants out for the things that they're doing wrong and the things that they should be doing better as a software development company, as a company that supports modding. I see what they're doing wrong. I see how they could make their system so much better, yet they decide not to. And that's a bummer. But... And then I almost always... I've opened numerous tickets with giants, suggesting to them how to make things better. They never respond. But... I try to make things better. And I try to make things better for the players. You know, I see the things that players are doing that they like doing. Like, Bruce loves his mods that are made by another modder who isn't publishing mods anymore. But he loves the mods made by that modder. And they do fun stuff like setting your pickup width to be 20 meters. Which is totally not realistic. But Bruce likes to play that way. So, and other people like to play that way. And they're always asking him, every time he's doing something, like, where'd you get that mod? How can I get that mod? That looks awesome. Why can't I do that? And so, in my mind, there's a need or a want for that kind of stuff. And I like to try to figure out how to meet that need and have someone do it. Turf management golf course construction. That sounds interesting. turf management. I can imagine there's a lot of turf management in a golf course. Keeping those holes predictable. Keeping the course predictable so that it's the same course every time you play. Yeah, it does. Thank you, Rusty. My big thing that I think that the Giants is could be doing better is with their new stuff. They introduced in the Platinum DLC the concept of a factory. And a factory is different than a production because you provide things to the factory in certain quantities, and then over time it makes changes. So the roller coaster is a factory because you provide the stuff to build the roller coaster. But to me, and I've mentioned this before, but to me, I think that's a missed opportunity. Because what does a roller coaster have to do with farming? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Why not have a placeable factory that builds you a farmhouse or a shed or a cow barn or a chicken coop, and you have to go out and, you know, get the wood and the shingles and the doors and the prefab walls and the metal and the tin for the roof and the railings and all this fun stuff that they introduced in the Platinum Edition. Why not use that for building a house or a barn or a shed? Super big missed opportunity. It's okay. I'm on Twitch too. I don't play this on Twitch, but I am on Twitch too, so I understand. Welcome in, Rank. Thanks for coming in. It's okay. The best part about it, YouTube, and the reason that I stream Farm Sim on YouTube is exactly that. Oh, look, by the way, we can see something cool here. Hold on. Look at this. You guys see this? Do you see what I'm seeing? This is a different looking crop. This is not what wheat normally looks like. This is actually barley. This is not what barley normally looks like. This is totally different. You guys see that? Doesn't that look beautiful? This is one of Cavailier Roy's new crop textures. Pretty fancy. Thanks for being here, Rusty. I'm actually going to be calling it in about 10 minutes. But thank you so much for being here, and thanks for joining. Yep, exactly, Rambo. Thanks for coming in, Rambo. I saw you in there too. Welcome in. Yeah, building a homestead, building a bridge. Like DodgeNet has used that logic in their map, which is PV Canyon Crossing or whatever. They've used some of that logic in their map for building bridges or building a factory that then can be used to building a production building that then can be used as a production once it's done. Like little stuff like that. Like, and the building bridges is totally like a SnowRunner mechanic, right? Where you have to bring the lumber to the bridge and then the bridge gets built magically and then you can get across the bridge. Like that's a mechanic that they did use in SnowRunner. But it would be equally awesome in this game. Like imagine if you had like a whole half of the map, right? That you can't get to unless you built the bridge to get there. How awesome would that be? Like it's not just like forestry for the sake of doing forestry. It's not forestry for the sake of making something that you're just gonna sell, like bowls, right? It's forestry for making something that means something, that enhances your gameplay. Like that's a huge missed opportunity. And granted, yes, I also understand the argument that they don't have time to do everything. They can only do the things that they choose to do, and I get that. But why keep it a secret? There's plenty of modders, including myself, who could do amazing things with that code, but it's locked behind a DLC paywall. And they won't release it. The premium edition that's coming out later this month also is using that same mechanic. And what are we doing this time? We're building pianos. What does a piano have to do with farming? Absolutely nothing. But that's what we're gonna do. And I'm sure all of us are gonna get on that map and we're like, oh, let's do the piano thing. Let's build a piano. And then we're gonna build a piano just like we built a boat last time. And it doesn't do anything for anybody. And we're like, oh, that was fun. Next. And we're gonna go back to playing our mod maps. Right? It's like they're losing out on so much just because they can't grasp or embrace the wealth of creativity in the modding community. But to do that, they'd have to write documentation, and they don't like writing documentation. The documentation on Giant's site is for version 1.7, and they're on like 1.9 or 1.12 or something like that. Like, how awesome would that be? Like, to do logging and build your own pole barn, and then they could totally add in the mechanic for building like a pole barn, but you have to provide, you can't provide like 8-foot lengths of trees. You have to provide a 20-foot length of tree for part of the pole barns. You have to provide 20-foot sections of tree, at least, so they can be cut into the sides of the pole barn. We have that mechanic. We have the ability to do that. We have the ability to create wood in different lengths and different sizes. Not all wood is used in pallet form. So why not leverage that stuff? Like, there's so much stuff that they're just missing out on. And it's just a bummer that they're missing out on it, honestly. No. That's a great question, Nuclear. And AJ's buildable farm pack isn't actually a buildable farm pack. So to explain what his buildable farm pack does, is his buildable farm pack breaks down a building into its pieces and then runs an animation to make it look like you're building it. But all it is an animation. That's all it is. It's a very, very complex step-by-step animation. And congrats to AJ for taking the time, to Alien Jim for taking the time to do that and make that, because it looks awesome. But it's a time-consuming, painstaking thing to do. And the code to add the inputs is all part of the Platinum DLC. So unless, yeah, you can't time the animation with the inputs, because the inputs would be controlled by, there has to be something that's tracking how much input you put in, and the code that does that is part of the Platinum Edition, and it's locked behind the Platinum Edition paywall. So there's no way to actually add that code for tracking without either A, writing a script, which is what the Platinum Edition did, or B, using the logic that's built in the Platinum Edition. So you'd need to be able to, either it would be PC only, which is not fun because it could be for everyone, or it would be a Platinum requirement. I wouldn't mind the Platinum requirement. That's fine with me. But not having something be cross-platform would be a bummer. Yeah, see all of that logic, Nuclear? Believe me, I've tried to figure it out a way to do it without the Platinum DLC, and it's just not possible. I mean, it's possible with like clever scripting, but then it would be PC only. And it hurts me to have to rewrite that code, because you could totally do it. It just hurts to rewrite that code when I know that the Platinum DLC has the code in it, and it's just a specialization for, or from what I understand, looking at the PV Canyon Crossing stuff, it's just a specialization you add onto a placeable. And you define the inputs, and you define what happens, the animation that runs when those inputs have been reached, which is exactly what you're talking about. But you'd have to write all the code to do that, and it hurts me to have to write code that already exists. Honestly, I'd rather write something new and something that doesn't exist, or something that people haven't thought of before. Like the variable work mode thing. And since we didn't have time to get to grasswork tonight, since it's currently 8 o'clock and I'm going to have to sign off, we will have to check out the grasswork thing next time. Or the variable pickup thing next time. And maybe I can preview the mod on stream itself. That would be fun. Now this tractor's in the way. Thank you, worker, for doing the work. But it's time to go. But either way, that's it for me. I'm going to finish rolling this field. And then probably do a couple contracts before the month ends. And then next time we're going to be into June. And if we look at our calendar, what's in June? Nothing. There's nothing in June, so we might do some more contracts in June. We gotta get through to August, so maybe next time we'll do June and July and get through to August and then go from there. We're gonna have to do a bit of mowing next time, so June's gonna be a lot of mowing on our own farm and probably lots of grass contracts on other farms. So we'll see. And hopefully I'll be back next week. Hopefully things are well and no one's sick and we can get back into this next week and continue with the author-intended challenge. And I want to say thank you to everyone for being here. Thank you for joining. Thanks for listening to my rants. I can rant about giants all day, or silly things at giants all day long, but, you know, it's all in the goodness of my heart for wanting the game to be better and wanting everyone on all platforms to be able to experience all the fun stuff that we get on PC. That's what I want. And people to see all the cool stuff that I get to build. Anyways, thank you for being here. Thank you for watching. And I'll catch everyone next time. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Have a good one, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.